The slogan for the entertainment company Origin is, "We create worlds."
And they haven't done so bad so far. With the Wing Commander and Ultima series under their belts, they know what they're doing.
Their latest creation, Crusader, looks like it could be their next big thing. Origin's world-creating abilities were in top form when making this game. It has the look, feel, action, atmosphere, everything that's needed to engulf the player into the game's world.
The world of Crusader is set around 100 years in the future. Instead of governments running everything, one giant conglomerate called the World Economic Consortium has been put in control.
It's basically a cross between Walmart and Uncle Sam.
Every aspect of life is run and controlled like a business. People are called citizen partners, and the goal in life seems to be to maximize output.
Gee, that sounds so familiar. Where have I heard that before?
Stop, Gavin, and get back to work!
Oh yeah, now I remember.
Anyway, life is basically live for the consortium, work for the consortium, sleep for the consortium.
Any criticism of or disagreement with the consortium is, shall we say, frowned upon.
But there exists a handful of dissidents, a troop of terrorists, a group of guerrilla fighters who oppose the World Economic Consortium.
Heretofore known as the WEC.
Thank you. Who oppose the WEC, known simply as the Resistance.
Elegant name.
I thought so.
The Resistance is who the player works for.
I see. And just who is the player?
I'm glad you asked. See, since the WEC is in control of just about everything, they also control the police and the military. And in the military, there's this elite group of Special Forces commandos called Silencers.
You mean Boba Fett there?
You get the picture. Except these guys walk around in red plastic armor.
Very chic. It says to me I can be forceful and fashionable at the same time. Very jaunty. It should really spice up this winter season.
Whatever. Your character was ordered to fire upon some civilians, which you didn't exactly agree with, so you defected to the Resistance.
But won't they suspect me of being an informer?
Oh yeah, they do not like you at all, but that's where the game picks up. You're on your first mission for the Resistance trying to prove yourself.
You start each mission by teleporting into the target area on a teleport pad. You can always get an update on your mission objectives by using your data link that you always have on you.
Otherwise, you just follow the level straight ahead and you'll eventually get where you want to go.
You have a health meter and a shield meter to keep track of throughout the game, and there are booths scattered on the levels that give you a boost in health or shield energy when you need it.
There are plenty of other neat things to play with, like spider bombs, which you guide by remote control. You get to visit the Rebel base after each mission.
At the base, you get to talk to some of the other Rebel members, which is basically just you watching a video. But the actors did a nice job, lending believability and fun to the game.
And there's also Weasel. He's the guy you can go to buy weapons and ammunition, using the credits you lifted off the bad guys you shot in the previous mission.
As you can see, the game is played from an isometric view. It looks a lot like Syndicate in some ways, but it's closer in and the screen doesn't scroll.
Whenever you get close to the edge of a screen, the computer repositions the screen to show you the next area of the level.
I like scrolling screens where the environment follows me around, but Crusader lets you center the screen on your character at will.
What I especially liked about this was that even if a bad guy was right off the edge of the screen, if I can't see him, although I theoretically can, the computer still treats the guy as out of sight.
This keeps the computer from shooting at you with bad guys who are right off the screen that you can't see.
One of the more impressive things about Crusader is the number of moves your character has.
You can walk forward and backward, rotate in either direction, crouch down, roll left or right, run, and advance with your weapon ready.
All of these movements really give Crusader an unexpected depth of play, but the controls can be a little tricky to learn at first. All directional movement is determined by the arrow keys, and the type of movement is determined by the Control and Alt keys.
With the Control key down, you can crouch, jump, and roll to the sides. With the Alt key down, you can advance forward and backwards with your gun drawn, and do a sidestep to both sides. These are the familiar keys used with Doom.
So 90% of the world's population should be used to using these keys.
But as far as the graphics are concerned, Origin did an absolutely first-rate job. The graphics look so realistic you can't help but get drawn into the game.
We're told that the Silencer wears plastic armor, and darned if that guy on the monitor looks just like he's wearing plastic armor. And those explosions!
The explosions featured in Crusader are probably the best-looking explosions from any game I've ever seen or played. But even those aren't my favorite feature, because when a person gets too close to an explosion or gets hit with an exploding shell,
the person in the game catches on fire and runs around screaming. They eventually collapse to the floor and burn to a crisp. It's actually kind of disturbing to see and hear at first, but after a while you'll be using your grenade launcher on guys even if you have another weapon that'll do just as good.
But if this kind of violence is a little much for you, you can turn it off. The biggest selling point of Crusader is the interactive environment.
Oh yes, virtually everything you see on the screen can be affected by you in some way. Electrical boxes on the wall turn things on and off.
Glass shatters when shot.
Guardrails get decimated.
Chairs go careening across the room when shot.
And don't be anywhere near those barrels if they get shot. They blow up better than anything else.
The entire room is live and interactive. If you get too close to an electrical panel on the wall, the electricity reaches out and tries to fry you. Everything acts just like it would in real life.
And there's lots of traps and puzzles to figure out along the way. Hidden panels in the floor trigger guns and doors, and you have to find passkeys in certain places in order to open certain locked doors.
Unless you just want to blast your way through a door.
One of the downsides in the game is that there is limited replayability in it. Even though there are lots of different ways to kill people and lots of different things to blow up, the levels are the same every time you play, and the bad guys are always in the same places.
But there are 15 different missions, and each mission takes quite a while to get through. You'll be playing for a long time.
And there are lots of different environments to interact with, including refineries, labs, military bases, even a space station.
And there are 16 different weapons to use throughout the game, but there are only very few available at the beginning, so as you proceed through the game, you'll be awarded with new ways of causing destruction.
This Crusader is a rockin' game. The ideas aren't all that original, but the way it was put together has never been done quite like this.
The only price you'll pay for something like this is that you'll need a decent machine to run it well. My P60 with 8 megs of RAM still encountered irritating pausing. I'd say use a machine with 16 megs if possible.
But if you don't have access to that kind of power, don't worry, because the game is customizable to suit the abilities of the machine.
But that's the only warning I can think to give. Crusader is a virtually flawless game that makes upgrading to a better machine worth it.
Finally, here's a game that shows action shooters don't have to be in first person to still be fun. And man, is Crusader ever fun!